Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 194 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and when we check in with the Kherson Counter Offensive, Ukraine is planning a systemic grinding of Putin's army in order to retake the city. As Ukraine seeks to regain the city of Kherson, a city that Russia has occupied since the beginning of the invasion, the Ukrainian strategy involves the systemic grinding of Putin's army. So what does systemic grinding look like? And here's a selfie that a Ukrainian soldier took after a single day's fighting in the Kherson region. This is going to be hard sledding for the Ukrainian forces, a lot of casualties, a lot of fighting. But in the end, I think it is inevitable that Ukraine will retake this territory. And Ukrainian officials directly stated today that the ongoing Ukrainian counteroffensive in the south is a methodical operation to degrade Russian forces and logistics rather than one aimed at immediately recapturing large swaths of territory. I think in the comments section, people were believing that this was going to be some kind of 48-hour blitzkrieg and they were going to instantly capture, kill, or push out 25,000 Russian soldiers, and that isn't what is going to happen. As I mentioned in a previous video, this counteroffensive might take weeks or months, but once again, the end result, I argue, is inevitable. Reminder that for the Russian forces, it took them 3 months to take the city of Mariupol and 4 months of direct offenses in order to take the city of Severodonetsk. And when we check in on, what tactics, what are the Ukrainians doing in the Kherson region, just assume that the Anatovsky Bridge has been bombed yet again. Here's a video I will link down below of somebody on the ferry with their camera out, able to capture the moments that missiles strike the bridge yet again. So the Ukrainians are using HIMARS, they're using probably Excalibur rounds in order to hit the bridge, hit the ferries, hit the pontoon bridges. It's really important for the Ukrainian military that no resupplying occurs across this river. Additionally, we now have satellite images of the hydroelectric power dam in the Kakhovka region, and you can see that the road over the canal lock has collapsed. So when we switch to Google satellite images, here is the hydroelectric power plant. And there are 2 weak points for this road. The first one being a bend over here. This curve currently looks like Swiss cheese. The Ukrainians have hit it so often. The other one is this bridge over the canal lock, and you can see from this satellite image that it's collapsed. So the next time that Google updates this photo, this bridge won't be there anymore. So the only way that the Russian military can resupply their forces now, realistically, is by helicopter. So every time a Russian soldier fires a bullet, they're not getting any more bullets. Every time they start a vehicle, they're not getting any more gasoline. Every time they eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they're not getting any more food unless a Russian helicopter brings them more supplies. And this is incredibly dangerous to fly helicopters in the north bank of the region because the Ukrainians have surface-to-air missiles. They have man-portable systems like Stinger missiles. So every day, as these Russian helicopters attempt to fly and resupply, to me, this is a suicide mission. If I was a Russian helicopter pilot, I would refuse this mission. There's already pictures and videos of Ukraine successfully shooting down some of these helicopters. It's not looking good for the Russian forces on the North Bank getting their resupplies. Additionally, the Ukrainians are hitting the Russian forces on the North Bank with everything they got. The Ukrainian armed forces say that they have killed nearly 500 Russian soldiers in just one day. Just on September 3rd, they're estimating that they killed, this is not captured, wounded, or anything like that, killed almost 500 Russian soldiers. So here's a graph over time of how deadly this conflict has been for the Russian military. Yes, this is according to the Ukrainian military statistics, but you can see that the first 2 weeks of the war, when the Russian military had the horrible invasion strategy of attack from everywhere with not enough men to take anything, they experienced very high casualty rates. They then started to slow down. And you can see that the week by week casualty numbers for the Russian military more or less leveled off as they settled into a new advanced strategy of using artillery to destroy everything before slowly crawling forward, bite and hold strategy. However, this last week, with the Ukrainian counteroffensive in the Kherson region, Russia is experiencing massive casualties. So this chunk of land right here is completely cut off from being resupplied. Yes, there's still probably more than 20,000 Russian soldiers here, but I argue it's just a matter of time before they are all killed or captured or choose to retreat on foot across one of these crossings where you can still get across on foot, but they're not taking any of their vehicles, they're not taking any of their heavy equipment. And we can already see that Russia might be getting desperate for going to the negotiating table as more and more higher-ranking Russian officials are signaling that potentially the Kremlin is ready to talk. Russia ready to negotiate with Ukraine to end the war, but they want to do so on favorable terms for Moscow. And that is ultimately why Russia is choosing to fight. Russia is choosing to keep these soldiers here because they want the north bank of the river as a bargaining chip in negotiations. So Russia, best case scenario, their dream fantasy here is they'll tell the Ukrainians, we'll withdraw and give you the north bank here. Maybe we'll give you some land around Izium and Kharkiv up here. In exchange, you have to recognize the independence of the breakaway territories, recognize our control of Crimea, and give us this territory along the coast of the Sea of Azov. I don't think Ukraine is ever going to agree to that, but this is what Russia wants. This is why Russia is choosing to put up such a fight for the North Bank when they realistically can't resupply or hold it. And Russia's done. Russia's spent. They have not advanced or taken any significant amount of territory in the last 2 months since Ukraine was given the HIMARS launcher system. These GMLRS rockets have been taking out Russian ammunition depots. Here's a composite map of all known Russian ammunition depots that have been destroyed. And this doesn't even count the HIMARS strikes on command posts and radar installations and infrastructure crucial for the Russian military to operate. To put this war in perspective, here's a reminder of how absurdly over-optimistic Russian war maps were during the first few weeks of this invasion. For any social media accounts that support Russia, just go back 6 months ago and look at the absurd content they were putting out about how successfully this war was going for Russia. So this map is dated March 7th, March 7th being almost exactly 6 months ago, and from the map they put out, Russia was firmly in control of the entire northern region. The Russian military was coming down from Belarus, about to encircle and lay siege to the capital city of Kyiv. Kharkiv was about to fall, Mariupol was about to fall, Mykolaiv was about to fall, Russia was in control of Snake Island, and the Russian military had already successfully accomplished their pincer movement to encircle the professional Ukrainian military in the Donbas region. They were days or weeks from being entirely wiped out forever. This was 6 months ago. And I'm arguing for you that Ukraine's military capabilities today are actually better than they were 6 months ago, especially their air defense systems. Case in point, last night, Russia attacked the Dnipropetrovsky region, and all 5 of Russia's rockets were successfully intercepted and knocked down. Yes, their falling pieces caused several fires, but luckily there were no Ukrainian casualties in this Russian missile strike. So their surface-to-air missile and their air defense systems have a greater capacity to protect the Ukrainian cities far behind the front lines. Russia has lost this capability to attack anywhere they want in the country. Additionally, support for this war on the Russian side at home is waning, and a good indicator of this is looking at the ratings that Russian TV stations disclose to the public. I'm surprised that Russia isn't lying about this, because this is a very powerful indicator that the Russian people at home are getting sick of hearing about this war and how great it's going for Russia. So you can look at these ratings. I think this number maybe is millions of viewers for the major Russian TV networks. And you can see that there was a spike in viewership in the lead up to the war. This is February 24th right here. But over the last 6 months, viewership and rating has just declined. You can see there was another spike here around May 9th. This is their Victory Day celebration holiday. But as the TVs in Russia keep saying how fantastic this war is going and Russia is doing amazing, Russian people are getting body bags sent home to them, their husbands and brothers and fathers. This war, as it continues to go on, I think the major propaganda Russian networks are going to struggle to maintain viewership, as the Russian people know that everything being broadcast on TV is an absolute lie. And there's lots of political shifts occurring domestically for Russia. The Chechen leader Kadyrov is saying he deserves an indefinite break from ruling Chechnya. Now, this man only is in charge of Chechnya because Vladimir Putin wants him to be, and the fact that he's willingly stepping down, he posted a video on social media, I'll link it down below. This guy's an idiot, I don't really like listening to him. But there's rumors that Vladimir Putin is very unhappy with him because 6 months ago he promised tens of thousands of elite Chechen warriors that would go to Ukraine and make Russia proud. And all this idiot did was go to Ukraine for a couple days, film some absurdly stupid TikTok videos, and then he left. Why isn't this guy, making Vladimir Putin proud 6 months into this war, carrying on the fight, making sure victory for Russia? So I don't know how old he is, but he's looking at an early retirement. The next story that is a top concern every day, but I don't like thinking about it, is the concern over the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Russia, weeks after being requested, finally lets international inspectors into the plant, and Russian propaganda was carefully staging everything to make Ukraine look like Ukraine is the one shelling or attacking this plant. And this is how dumb the Russians are, guys. So the tour guide for the international inspectors took them out to the courtyard to show that Ukraine had been launching missiles or rockets at the nuclear power plant, and the inspector immediately noticed that the missile coming into the ground entered at an angle where it could only have been fired from the south of the plant in the Russian-occupied territories. And look at this Russian tour guide scrambling to explain why the placement of this missile on the ground makes it look like Russia was the one who fired it. So this Russian tour guide is saying, no, whenever missiles hit the ground, they always reverse 180 degrees and look like they entered from the opposite direction. Something tells me this international inspector was not convinced. This is how dumb the Russians are. In my last video, I talked about good news for Russia as Gazprom recorded record profits for the first 6 months of this year. That's the only silver lining for the Russian economy, as Russia's banking sector posted a record $25 billion loss for the first half of this year. Russia's banking sector lost 1.5 trillion rubles, or about 24 billion, in the first half, and I'm speculating that the second half of this year is not going to look any better for Russia's financial system. Additional, more bad news is that China's Visa alternative has cut off Russian banks over potential sanctions. When the war began, Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, Google Pay, they all pulled out of the country, leaving only Union Pay, which is a Chinese company. But now Union Pay is pulling out. They don't want anything to do with Russia. I think 6 months into this war, China is extremely irritated and annoyed by the poor performance of the Russian military and the fact that they can't get the job done. I'm sure China is ready to move on because they've got their own problems at home they need to focus on. Here's a sad story as children around Ukraine return to school. This is a happy time potentially for children, Ukrainian children in the free territory. But in the occupied territories under Russian control, Russia has been doing everything they can to pressure parents to make sure that their children show up at school. There's been reports that Russia has been busing in specific teachers from Russia to teach these Ukrainian children proper Russian curriculum. What this means is, first day of school, all of these children were handed Russian flags. This is a propaganda video. I'll link it down below, but I'm not going to play it. And these children are just being blasted, 6 or 7 hours a day of Russian propaganda straight that Ukraine doesn't exist. Ukraine never existed. You were never Ukrainian. You're Russian. You've always been Russian. Congrats, you're Russian now. And I'm sure Vladimir Putin looks at these children and thinks these boys are the future soldiers of Russia to go to war with NATO and retake the Baltic states in 10 or 15 years. And he looks at these little girls and just thinks these are the mothers of future Russian soldiers. That's all that Russia cares for and thinks about these children. But Russia's plan to indoctrinate these children isn't going to work because the Ukrainian military is going to save them. They're going to liberate these territories. And the reason why I believe this is because the Ukrainian soldiers are more motivated to win this war, and all they need is the proper equipment to do so. Here's a video I found of a Ukrainian soldier that I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, I don't know his name, but he operates a TikTok account, and the name of the account is neighbor.diary. This video was given English subtitles, and let's just watch it together.
Чим я займався до війни? До війни в мене було просто ідеальне життя. Я знімав собі житло, я працював в сфері, яка мені подобається. Це IT. Працював я тестувальником. Я ходив на безліч курсів, ходив в басейн, в зал. Це, мабуть, такий етап, коли я максимально круто все налаштував у себе в житті. І під час повномасштабного вторгнення я пішов добровольцем в перший же день з думкою, що якщо не піду я, то ми програємо. Це я кажу зараз про об'єднаність народу. Я не зміг просто залишитись вдома, тому що я вірив в Україну, вірив в українців, і не було жодного сумніву, що весь народ підніметься.
If you want to check him out and support him on TikTok, he's already got 27,000 followers, but he seems to post pretty frequently. Once again, this is his channel name. That's all for this update video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support my channel. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, take care, be safe.